Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome along to the Final Furlong podcast. Have we uploaded the actual fully edited episode, or have we uploaded the unedited raw footage, which includes me making a complete balls of the intro? I don't know. And will Trish and I even notice that we've uploaded the wrong one for 24 hours until afterwards? I have no idea either. But welcome to the show. I'm Emmet Kennedy, joined by Peter, Michael and Andy Newton as we take you through the weekend's best racing. We're going to start, I believe, at Ascot for the 140. It's the BetMGM Mares Hurdle. It's a Grade 2, and the betting is headed by the Willie Mullins-trained Kargese, who was a brilliant juvenile hurdler last season. She raced 5 times in graded company, 4 of them in Grade 1 company. She was never out of the first 2, and she's already a pretty short price second favourite for the Mares Hurdle, 3-1. Don't know about that, but this weekend, surely she's got a class edge. 7-4 on is the current price about her with Jeff Banks Bet. Take no chances for the Skelton's 4s. Casa Nomento, who definitely has some classy form from her back days, but her jumping this season has been pretty disappointing. 10s and whatever price you want about the rest. Peter, Michael, is Kargese going to get off to a winning start this season?
I mean, you would think so, wouldn't you, lads? The only thing is, a lot of Mullins horses that he's taken over to the UK haven't really performed as we expected them to perform, and I don't know if she'll be another one, but she stands out in this field. Her form behind Sergino, Majborough, beaten Bottler's Secret. Now, I know he hasn't done a whole pile this season, but yeah, look, the form just stands out, sticks out like a sore thumb. But as I said, just some of the Mullins horses travelling over to the UK, they've underperformed, so that would just be a little niggle in my mind that I'd have for her. But yeah, you certainly couldn't fancy anything to beat her. So whilst, I do think he'll win, the doubt about some of his horses, the way they've ran in the UK, would be in the back of my mind. So I think she'll win, but I wouldn't be backing her at that price. There's some other good horses in there, but she stands out. If I was picking one to chase her home, I'd probably go with All the Glory. She's improved this season. She was well backed when winning in Musselburgh off 119, ridden by Benjamin Macy, who's pretty good value for his £10, and then she did it well again in Southwell. But she's got to prove she's capable of beating the others. And Old Betty is a horse that has done me favours in the past, and a horse I like as well. But yeah, the Mullins horse sticks out here, but the price is probably right.
Yeah, you're not going to be getting rich backing her unless you're putting her into some kind of an elaborate multiple, which is almost certainly what I'm going to do, Andy. Some kind of an elaborate scumbag each way multiple bet, and she's going to be the first leg of it. Her second to Sergino, if you take that form literally, that means Take No Chances has got 0 chance in this field. Casanamento would need to improve on what she's done, but she could. She has been a little bit free and a little bit keen in her races, Kargese. We talked about her in depth on this show a year ago when Adam Mills made his debut on the podcast, and he was bringing her to everybody's attention, tipping her for the Triumph Hurdle, along with a certain Sergino. At the time, it looked like so promising, and then Sergino comes out, Kargese gets beaten by Majborough, another superstar that Adam had talked very positively about. But the concern that Adam was highlighting was she doesn't have a whole lot of scope, but what she lacks in scope, she makes up for with heart and determination. There's a lot of class there, and I think she just does have a class edge over this field, Andy.
Yeah, if you are against her, it's probably going to be the quickest ground that she's run on. I'm not sure weather situation at Ascot, but they're saying good to soft, aren't they, at the moment there? Which, look at the back form, she's never run anything as quick as that. So, but I still think she'll be absolutely fine. It's not exactly, a strong.
Well, she's run on yielding, which is good to soft, and she was.
She has, but and was beaten to be honest. Running on that ground at Leopardstown on Boxing Day, wasn't it, back in a couple of years ago? But
was that the race Lossie Mount should have won? No, sorry, it wasn't. No, sorry. Beg your pardon.
The one? No, that was
when she got taken out by her stable companion.
Yeah, and then Mullins wasn't happy. Tannen gave him a hard ride afterwards, or something.
He had
like
a nightmare that weekend. He gave Facile Vega a disastrous ride as well.
That was good though, because we had the place put up. That was out of the frame, so that boosted it up, and we pocketed loads of dosh that day.
Well, wasn't it good for you, Andy? I'm glad for you that you got your place bet up while we were all struggling.
We won loads. I think from memory, Gaelic Warrior was the last leg when it won over hurdles that year.
The handicap hurdle.
We're moving around a bit. Yeah, I mean, look, Skelton's won this with that Roxana in the past in 2021. So take no chances. I mean, like you say, though, the form of the Sergino run in the fighting fifth. I mean, realistically, Kargese. That's best sort of been franked, isn't it? Even with the Triumph form, Majra coming out and both of them, Sergino as well, doing so well over fences. So, it's hard to look, against her really. And Mullins has won this in the past as well with Vroom Vroom Mag. So he has history in this race, bringing over, one to take the prize. Townend obviously comes over for the ride as well. So yeah, loads of pluses. It's obviously a short price. We know that it's going to be on all the doubles and trebles. But it should get everyone off to a flying start. I mean, look, the Henderson horse probably could maybe sort of make a small case for it. I mean, they probably had a couple of excuses the last couple of times and, did show some promise at the sort of start of last season. So at 28-1, it's just a shame there's not one more runner really. There's only 7, isn't there, for the each way. So, it's really going to be, like you said, bunging the favourite in some sort of doubles and trebles through the day, or realistically you're only looking for one other place, aren't you? Because I mean, Kargese's never been out the first 2 in its life. So
and to be fair, she had Nuremberg ringing behind at Punchestown in the Grade 1 that she won towards the end of the season, or beginning of the season if you want to go with the official terminology. How Punchestown is supposed to be the beginning of the season at the very end of the jump season just is. Anyway, she buried him that day, and he's come out and won the Galway Plate, and will possibly land a very valuable handicap chase later in the season. We shall see. Kargese should be banker material to get us off to a winning start at Ascot. We'll switch to Haydock for the novice hurdle there, and we might very well be seeing another potential banker, this time for the Skeltons. It's the Rossington Main Novice Hurdle. Royal Infantry 7-4 on favourite to go back-to-back at Haydock. Was a very impressive winner over course and distance last time out, bidding to make it 3 out of 3 over hurdles. Will he remain unbeaten, Peter Michael?
Yeah, again, should be hard to beat. He's a very likeable horse. I think has he only lost once in his life?
Champion bumper.
Yeah, I know he ran point to point 3 times, in the champion bumper, but he's been impressive and is impressive last time out. And the time before that, he won comfortably as well. It's hard to know what's under the bonnet, like how much is left. But you couldn't really bet against him. He's clear in the ratings as well. He's 135. The closest to him is 124, I think it is. So, there's no excuses for him. Trip is fine. Heavy ground, he's won on it before. So, should be hard to beat. Of the others, I thought Clun Oinra, the Irish horse, ran well last time against Shireen. I fancied Shireen that day, put him up in my tipping group at 10-1, and this horse was staying on strongly late on. It was, you couldn't see much of the race because the fog was, blocking a lot of it. But I'd put him up to come second to Royal Infantry, so that could be a forecast that might pay a few quid. But it's hard to go against Royal Infantry in this race, so that's who I'll be putting up on Clun Oinra to fill the forecast position.
And where can Final Furlong podcast listeners and viewers follow your expert advice on X?
Well, if they go to my page, I used to put the tips up there, but I don't anymore. It's now a subscription. It's on Telegram. So if they go to my page on X and contact me, then I can include them into the group if they want to get in. It's €30 a month for the first 3 months, is €30 per month, and then after that it's 40 a month after that. So if anybody's interested, they're welcome to come along. So we had last year, I think it was 8 out of 11 winning months. So it was, we had a good run, and the aim is to continue that this year, hopefully.
Good man, Peter Michael, at Peter Michael Racing on X to get involved. Andy Newton, is this just going to be the other way? The other way. And you were so close. You were pointing at me, not him. Yeah, the other way. There you go. Now you had it. You had it.
I don't mind. I can be Emmet Kennedy. I don't mind.
Think of it like you don't want that. Think of it like a mirror, and then you'll be all right. Andy, is this Royal Infantry just going to win? Basically, this is the scumbag double to kick us off. Kargese wins at Ascot, Royal Infantry wins at Haydock.
It will be, yeah. I mean, look, it's a shame because Henderson had one in here entered called That's Nice earlier in the week, and I was probably eyeing up taking on Royal Infantry with that one, but that's not been declared in the end, so it has sort of cut up a bit. And realistically, you're looking for something to take it on with. It's difficult. I mean, look, the Lucinda Russell camper in quite good order, so they're walking on a dream. Might have something there. Won okay last time out as well at Ayr, I think. So maybe, but again, we've got the 7 runner scenario, so we're only playing for one place with the each way if you are going to take it on. But I mean, I look back on its form. I mean, look, it was impressive here. It's a course and distance winner. We know the track's going to be fine, the ground's going to be fine. Little things to sort of latch onto if you do want to go against the favourite. Skelton form at the moment, not absolutely sparkling. I think that they've only had 2 winners in their last 18, which is okay-ish, but it's not super duper. But look, the form of its win 2 runs ago at Chepstow, that has been franked. I mean, the third's come out, a horse called Cap Quest and won, Harry Fry horse, and the 5th in that race called Salt Rock has also come out and won. But its most recent win at Haydock, you can pick some holes in the horses that ran behind it. Crest Fortune, that got turned over, I think, at odds on next time. The 3rd in that race, Circuit Breaker, I think has been beaten as well. So it's a tricky one. If you want to take the Chepstow form, looks all right. Haydock form, I don't know. You might pick some holes in it. But realistically, it's got plenty in hand on the ratings. And really, I don't know, it's hard just to find something to take it on with personally. So it's probably a no-bet race for me. But like you say, it's going to be in all the doubles, this one, early doors, and then a lot of them probably whacking over to some of the other horses like Jonbon later in the day that we're going to talk about. But
speaking of Jonbon, he won this race when it was last run back in 2022.
Indeed, yeah.
Before going on to finish 2nd in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. So if you want to back this horse for the Cheltenham Festival, you can. 33-1 is the quote currently.
I think they rescheduled it though. When I was looking back, did it get called off? But because I'm not sure whether Jericho de Repine won this last year. If they moved it to
but it was at Doncaster though. It wasn't here. Yeah, they moved. Yeah, and the last horse to win this race and then go and win the the Supreme. Go on
at Cheltenham. Trained by Donald McCain.
Oh, I know.
Cinders and Ashes.
Cross?
Correct. Whichever way you are.
Which one?
Cinders and Ashes?
Cinders and Ashes, yeah.
Jesus, Emmet, you're too good for me.
Who was also beaten in the champion bumper at Cheltenham. So this is all coming together nicely. Cinders and Ashes got beaten in the Cheltenham champion bumper, but used that experience to his advantage, won the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Can Royal Infantry do the same thing? Jeff Banks says no and goes 33-1. Do you want to prove him wrong? Sign up now at jeffbanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500. You're eligible for 10% of any net losses. You won't have any losses, though. Following Peter Michael and Andy Newton, you'll be making loads of money. But in case there's any losses, you'll get 10% of them back, up to £500 after your first month of betting. FFP500, jeffbanks.bet. Take advantage of those prices right now. Royal Infantry wins. He'll smoke that lot, in my opinion. The next race we're going to talk about is the 2:15 at Ascot. It's a race that Venetia Williams won in 2016, the Bet365 Handicap Chase. It's a Class 2, and she goes to win it again, this time with Martador, who last time out failed in his attempt to win 6 consecutive races on the spin, but looked as though a step back up and trip would help him, and he'd looked really, really good in his previous 5 wins consecutively, where he'd improved £33. Ned Fox takes off 3, and he's back at Ascot, where he is unbeaten in 3 consecutive starts there. Is he just going to go and win? And is the 4-1 with Jeff Banks bet looking pretty tasty? Peter Michael.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have 10 runners in this race, and the top 3 in the betting, the form, link up. Martator beat Coat Mask, who beat Scarface the last one they ran, 21st of December. So, the form lines are similar. And as we know, Marta Tor had beaten Coatmas twice as well. So, and Scarface had beaten Coatmas. So the top three in the betting have ran against each other a few times. So, if you're following that line of form, then, they're the three you'll be concentrating on. But I'm going to look for a bit of value here. Whilst I respect all three of the top three, and there's definitely reasons to think Marta Tor can get back to winning ways. But I'm going to look for a bit of value, and I'm going to be backing or tipping or putting up Tedley each way here at 16-1. I'm going to put a line through his last run, which, he was stuffed by Caliph de Burley, but he'd ran a good race before that behind Caliph de Burley. Don't get me wrong, Caliph de Burley beat him comfortably, even though it was only, I think, 3/4 of a length. But, he ran a solid race, and Caliph de Burley, is a nice prospect moving forward. So I'm hoping that the return back to better ground will suit Tedley, going back to 2 miles. What is it, 2 miles 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 miles 5 should be okay. He's won 2 miles 4. He's run well behind Bob Balco, 2 mile 4. So I just think off 10-2, Jamie Brace taking off 5. He's got a nice racing weight. And I definitely could see him, getting close to getting placed. And, it's not behind it's not, behind, it's not, I'm confused. I'm sorry about that, lad. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. There we go. I finally got out that he could win this race. So for me, he's a bit of value in that field. So that's who I'll be putting up at that price each way, Tedley.
Normally, I'm the one struggling with my mouth words, so it's good to see somebody else either catching what I have or just making me look better. That's all right. Don't worry, Peter.
I'm just trying to make you feel better, Emma.
Well, need it, quite honestly. But don't worry, I'll stumble over my words a little bit later on. Don't you worry about it, Peter. You won't be alone. Andy Newton, what do you like in the 2:15?
Like you guys said, there's a lot of interlinked form here with the top three in the betting. Martador, it was a bit like Lossiemouth and Ballyburn, wasn't it, at Kempton? You sort of knew quite early on that it just wasn't quite happy. I think over that 2 miles, things were just sort of happening a little bit too quick, weren't they, in the first part of the race? Had a little period where you thought, hang on, it's going to get back into it, but just had too much to do in the end. So like you said, Emmett, the step back up in trip, the return to Ascot, absolutely going to be in its favour. Ned Fox back on as well. I think he can only claim 3 here though, can't he? I think it might have been 5 the last time. And I think the weight pull with the Gary Moore horse coat mask is, I think it's about £13 for the 11 lengths. But I still think that it will sort of uphold that. So I don't know, 4-1. It does look sort of a tempting part. I thought it'd be a bit shorter than that, to be honest. So of the sort of main players, I will be sticking with Phoenicia's horse. But I also think that Hitman is probably worth a little bit of a mention. It's just interesting back in a handicap. I'd say it's probably only one run, once or twice in a handicap in its life, isn't it? Because and this time last year it was running second in the Denman Chase to Shishkin. Ran all right in the old Rowan on its return. It's had a bit of a break since. It's got a massive weight, 12 stone, but this is its easiest oppo for a long, long time. It's a horse that hasn't quite progressed as Nichols and everyone might have hoped, and they're taking a bit of a back step here, dropping it in class, so to speak. But look, Cobden's on it. Nichols has got a top record in this race as well. He's won 3 of the last 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the money's come as well for it a little bit. It's now single figures-ish. It was definitely 16s or 14s a couple of days ago. So, look, at a bigger price, Hitman, but I think Martador of the main players. Do you agree, Emmet?
I absolutely agree. You might have thought you were going to be getting pillared and absolutely hammered.
I was tiptoeing in with that one. But
going to tip a horse that hasn't won since November 2022 on the podcast for a trainer who just seems to have gone off a cliff. The concern I'd have with Paul Nicholls is not so much the fact that he hasn't had a winner in 15 days, although that's not good. Dan Skelton did have a double today, so at least he's turning the corner.
Oh, that's good.
The thing that would worry me about Paul Nicholls is it's Paul Nicholls, and he's only had 6 runners in the last 14 days. Now this is flu jab season. For the YouTube algorithm, we're talking about equine flu jabs and not human ones that might be controversial in some way. But this is the time of year where he gives these horses the flu jab, and sometimes they just go a little bit quiet, and that's happened a few times. But I don't remember too many times in the height of the National Hunt season where Paul Nicholls only has 6 runners in 2 weeks. Now, we've lost a lot of race meetings, but still, that's not ideal. And 15 days at the time of recording without a winner too. So tomorrow, or it could be today by the time you're watching this, Caldwell Potter, the most expensive horse bought at public auction at the time, will be in action at Windsor when National Hunt Racing returns there, and he's also going to run Blue King Doro. So let's find out how those 2 horses get on first of all on Sky Sports Racing. And if they perform adequately, then Hitman at 7-1 with Jeff Banks bet is very, very appealing. If they bomb out entirely, don't touch any Paul Nicholls horse. Don't go near them. But Trip should be ideal. He's won off a layoff before. He's only won once right-handed, but I'm going to give him a pass on that because he's placed 4 times going right-handed, and he should get a nice pace setup sitting in behind Kansas City Star and Bad. And the key form line you mentioned was he's second to Shishkin. If he can replicate that kind of form, he'd blow this field to pieces, even though he's giving them weight. But the 7-1, we're coming towards the cutoff point. That's the biggest price currently available, and that is available with Jeff Banks bet. Yeah, 7s. He was 9s when I was looking at him this afternoon, and he's been clipped into 7s across the board now. But Jeff will give you that 7-1, and that's okay. If we're heading south of that, I might switch back to Martador. Speaking of switching back, we will switch back to Haydock, where it's going to be warlike conditions for the Peter Marsh chase, which will be just right up the street of Royale Pagaille, who goes for his 3rd consecutive win in this race. He has run 6 times at Haydock. He's only ever been beaten once. That was in the 2021 Haydock Betfair chase, where he was absolutely, everything was destroyed by a Plutard that day, but that was okay because he'd go on to win the Gold Cup. And every other race he's had there, all 5, have been wins, including 2 Betfred chases and 2 wins in this race where he's carried top weight to victory and crushed his opposition. And surely, Peter Michael, he will do the same thing again this year.
Well, I mean, he has to have every chance. He's the class horse in the race. Off 166, 12 stone. He's given weight away to some pretty decent animals. But, yeah, as I said, like he is, when you look at him, he kind of sticks out in this field. But I wasn't sure which way to play this. I'm going to go against him. I try to avoid backing Charlie Doy choices, if I'm being honest. Now, he's not the worst jockey in the world at all. He's very good at placing and everything, but I like my jockey a little bit more animated than he is. So I'd kick myself if I backed one around that price that he rode, and he lost in a close finish. I'm going to put up 2 here. I was disappointed with Trelawn the last time. I don't know what to make of it, apart from maybe the ground wasn't soft enough for him. He was hanging a bit. I don't know if he was feeling the ground or what it was. He's hung before, but I thought, they might have ironed that out. He won nicely the time before that against Uroko, and he had a soft ground there. He's got the heavy ground that he likes. 3 miles 1, would be no problem for him. He's getting a stone off Royale Pagaille, so I'm willing to give him one more chance. And if he doesn't run a big race, then I'd start to be worried about him. There's a chance 152 is as good as he is. But being disappointed with the last one, I'm going to give him one more chance with conditions perfect for him. And I think I Will Do It as well. Could run a big race for Sam Thomas. He's ran 2 lovely races in his last 2 races that he's ran in, and just hasn't, he'd been there with every chance and just hadn't, whatever it was. I don't know if it was last time fitness told, or he's not getting any younger either, but coming back down and trip in these, at Haydock and 3 mile 1, he'll have the stamina for it, and this could be his ideal conditions at this stage of his career. So those are the 2 I'm going to put up against Royale Pagaille, Trelawn, and I Will Do It. I can't see prices here, Emmet, so I don't know what prices they are.
I will tell you. Royale Pagaille's 9-4, Mr. Van Gogh 5-2, Trelawn 9-2, Imagine 7-1, I Will Do It 8s, Richmond Lake 14s, Bill Baxter 20s, and Jonbon 25s with Jeff Banks bet.
Yeah, Mr. Van Gogh's form is advertised today with collector's item winning, so you have to respect him as well. And he's getting nearly 2 stone from all. But yeah, it's a very intriguing race, actually. You know, it is. It'll be a good race to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker. I was nervous of Mr. Van Gogh, particularly given the fact that he's given all that weight, and he is a slow boat, so he'll love these conditions. I'm slightly nervous of Imagine. Harry Durham's come back in good form. There's a good example. Harry Durham's yard would be significantly smaller than Paul Nicholls, and he had no runners for a month and a half because the gallops got washed away. He's had 8 runners in the last 15 days. Nicholls has only had 6. I mean, it's just, the whole thing's just odd. It's very, very strange. I don't know what's going on there with Paul Nicholls. But anyway, Imagine would be interesting if he can stay. He's a novice chaser I really liked last season. But he's another one of those Caldwell horses that there's a...
What was he bought for?
I'm going to guess 330.
Is that all?
320.
320, yeah. I'm joking. Considering the money some of our horses made, I'm joking. He's earned 52,000 in 11 races, so yeah, seems good value.
Yeah, pulled up on his only start for Harry Durham so far. Wasn't Phil Dorr like 630?
700, yeah.
That's running at the weekend as well, isn't it? I think somewhere.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a lot of them out this weekend. Phil Dorr's out at Windsor for the Windsor Millions, desperately trying to get some of that cash back. Caldwell Potter runs at Windsor on Friday. Oh, dearie me. I don't know. This is the opportunity for me to announce the final Furlong podcast Bloodstock operation, where Peter Michael, Andy Newton, and I will advise leading owners on the best types of horses to buy. We're going to bring in Ross Millar as well, and it's all going to be a big gravy train. I mean, it's all going to be expert analysis where we carefully pick horses and just charge you 20% for advising who to buy. Can't go wrong. That's the way forward, I think. I don't know, man.
Like you say, it's make or break for the Potter tomorrow. We'll see what happens at Windsor. But,
well, if it's real soft ground, Andy, then he'll go and bolt up, and if it's not soft ground, then oh well. Okay.
Oi, Pete. Anyway, you leave Charlie Deutsch alone, all right?
Yeah.
He's riding.
By the way, he's mustard.
Yeah, exactly. And he's riding Lossiemouth this weekend, all right? Leave him alone.
I couldn't believe that. How can they put him? That was incredible, Andy. I read your article. That's really...
What's even better is the fact that not only did Andy do that, Andy managed to get a picture of Charlie Deutsch in the Rich Ritchie silks because he rides Royale Pagaille brilliantly, might I add. Charlie Deutsch snapped up for a Lossiemouth ride. More on that to come in that Andy Newton exclusive a little bit later on the Final Furlong podcast. Who's going to win the Peter Marsh?
Yeah. If this is just a hypothetical question, right? If the Cheltenham Gold Cup was run at Haydock, what price would Royale Pagaille be?
Even money.
If it was on soft ground, heavy ground.
Even money, and Galopin Des Champs would be the 2-1 second favourite.
Maybe.
Hyperbole, obviously. Hyperbole. He'd be single figures.
He'd be in the top 3 or 4 in the betting, depending on who else is running.
Galopin would be favourites, and he'd be around about 8-1 or something like that. But he'd be a big player.
Considering what is he for the Gold Cup, 50, 100 to 1 or whatever.
He has no chance.
Yeah. So look, the point being, look, we all know that Royale Pagaille is for some reason in love with Haydock, a bit like Bristol De Meyer was, and various other horses over the years. We don't know why, but he just loves it. He loves it. So why go against him? Look, he's got a big weight. He's 11 now, but that run in the Betfair Chase was good. He put Grey Dawn in back in its box. Grey Dawn had every chance to win that race. Went past it. He fought back. Look, like you said, Peter, he was giving Van Gogh about £26, so it's not going to be easy. We know that horse is going to be suited by conditions, and the Bailey horse as well. I think the ground was too quick for it last time at Ascot, so I wouldn't be surprised to see those two, put in a fight with Royale Pagaille getting all the weight. But yeah, look, this is bordering on, I don't know, almost best bet of the weekend for me. I think I'll see. I'm not gonna well, I'm debating it still, but I just think, look, you go through the others, and I know Imagine's got some bits and pieces, but you just have to worry about the trip. Same with Richmond Lake, getting home, really. So I was hoping there'd be a few more runners, but realistically, it's going to be Royale Pagaille. I mean, going back in the day, Jadami won this and then went and won the Gold Cup. And we've had a Grand National winner win it as well back in the day, Earth Summit. So, it's Royale Pagaille all the way, really, for me. Venetia does well here with her chases. She's got a 26% strike rate. So, yeah, there's just a lot of pluses for me, really.
This is becoming a real scumbag each way. I'm not even sure if it can be each way. I think it's going to have to be win Lucky 31, but Royale Pagaille will absolutely be part of it. Back to Ascot.
Hang on, sorry. Before we go, right? Do we know who Peter Marsh is?
Oh, wasn't he that pundit for Sky Sports? I've no idea. Do you know?
No, because I'll tell you what. I did. I'll tell you what. About 3 or 4 days ago, I didn't know either. Right, and I thought, right, there's a few of these races, isn't there? Like the Charlie Hall, and whatever, the Roland Merrick and so on, that we're just like, who are these people, right? So, I mean, and a lot of them are either old trainers or they're directors at the track back in the day and whatever, right? And I was like, well, who's this Peter Marsh character? Like, this race has been going for like a long time, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I Googled it, found this company called the Peter Marsh Group, and it's based in Liverpool. So that's got to be them. It's got to be them, right? So I emailed them and just said, look, are you actually sponsoring, the Peter Marsh Chase, blah, blah, blah. Is it anything to do with you? Because they're an environmentally friendly packaging company that, I don't know, make cardboard boxes, basically, in a nutshell, that have been going since the 1800s. And no other than Peter Marsh himself emailed me back to confirm it is, in fact, them. So, yeah, fair play to them. They've been sponsoring it since, I don't know, the 80s or something like that. But I don't know, someone's obviously been putting the wool over his eyes, because they said, yes, this is what he said back to me. He goes, yes, it's us who sponsor the Peter Marsh Chase. And I think we may be the second longest sponsor in horse racing, which is quite a nice thing to be able to say. If you need any more info, feel free to get in touch. Regards, Peter H. Marsh. And I was like, well, surely you're not the second longest sponsor. So I had to sort of go back and break some bad news to him that, races like the Coral Welsh National and the John Smith's Cup and so on have probably...
Don't shatter the man's dream.
No, but like, joking aside, I mean, fair play to the, sponsoring, and I think we should give them a bit of a plug and for backing horse racing in this race for so long. And I think he did say to me they're backing it with Sky Bet this year or something.
Yeah,
as
because
well.
I was going to say they're involved in it too.
Yeah, but anyway, I just thought we've now cleared it up. We now know Peter Marsh is. He's not a trainer. He's not an ex-jockey. He's not a name of an old horse or whatever.
He's not a war hero.
He's a company that make cardboard boxes.
Well,
in Liverpool.
Well, this nugget of information was brought to you courtesy of Andy Newton on the Final Furlong podcast. And if you like your trivia, if you want to find out more about how historic races got their names, then you hit that like button, and we will make sure that Andy, when we see all the likes, when we see the hundreds and thousands of likes that this episode gets, then we'll know that Andy needs to do another section on some historic race name on next week's show. Have you hit the like button? Have you hit the like button yet? It's not going to take that much of an effort. And I almost did my Bob Fleming
you falling asleep there? Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Deary me, the Bob Fleming impression nearly kicked in massively again. All right, Peter Marsh, if you want to sponsor this podcast as well, you can contact Trish or myself, and we'll give you regular mentions on the podcast. Favorable ones as well. Right, the Holloway's Handicap Hurdle at Ascot is a race that Nicky Henderson has won twice since 2016. He's had a couple of horses place in the race as well. Both times he's won it, he's saddled two runners, and he's going to do so again to really confuse things. The market with Jeff Banks Bet is headed by Beau Zenith, who'll be ridden by James Bowen. Nico de Boinville chooses Dodie the Great, who got absolutely wiped out at the start at Kempton over the Christmas, and Nico did the right thing, just pulled him up after the first flight of hurdles. He had zero chance in that race. But the market right now is speaking in favour of Bo Zenith, who came from the clouds to place last time out on his debut for the yard. Dodie the Great, though, clearly a horse with a bit of an engine, and one that I know Nicky holds in high regard. Both of them are held, I think, in reasonable regard. Alto Belly 6-1, Georgie Girl 8s, Josh the Boss 9s, and 10-1 about the rest with Jeff Banks Bet. You can sign up now to take full advantage of Jeff's generous offers and his prices. You can also watch all the weekend's racing and all British and Irish racing on the Jeff Banks website or the Jeff Banks app. JeffBanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500 to take full advantage of the 10% money back offer of your net losses back after your first month of betting up to £500. JeffBanks.bet, promo code FFP500. Peter Michael, what do you make of the Holloway's Handicap Hurdle?
Well, I got a bit excited there because you called out the prices, and when you went 10-1 bar, I didn't think you mentioned Alto Belly, so I had to look up close. But I see 6-1. So I was thinking we may have to put this on hold to have a little bit each way in Alto Belly if he was more than 10-1 or more. But yeah, that's who I'm going to go with. He was backed off the boards last time out, and he just got going too late and raced a bit lazily and got going too late. They've put cheek pieces on him now, and they're putting him back up to 2 miles. Yeah, 2 miles, 3.5 furlongs. So he's won over that trip before. I'll just bring him up here. Hold on 1 second. He's won over 2 miles. Yeah, he's won over that trip before. Novice Hurdle, and he's got some good form going back. If you go back through his form, he hadn't. What was the gap he had? He had he had it just under a year off between that race, so he'll come on for that as well. And it's just, I thought, the man now, it was a weaker race, don't get me wrong. There was, I remember fancying him that day, but then the price just kept tumbling on him. Now, this race is a good bit stronger, so he's going to have to leave that form behind. But I feel that, they really expected him to win last time. 130 he raced off. He's off 132. That should be doable if you look at his form before that. And I feel with the 8 of cheek pieces and going back up in trip, we're going to see the best of him at Ascot. The ground should be fine. So I think he's a bit of value still at 6-1 in the race. But yeah, you have to respect Bo Zenith. You have to respect Dottie the Great. They've got potential to be leaving their marks behind without a doubt. Of the others, it's great to see Goshen back, isn't it? He's a horse that everyone always, will talk about when he's running. So he's a good horse for the sport. I don't think any of us will ever forget that day in Cheltenham for him. That was unbelievable.
I saw that clip in the week. Someone put it up on Twitter.
What was it? A piece of the hurdle kind of tripped him up or something like that?
Something was stuck in the hoof or something. It just couldn't get the leg away. It's like that, wasn't it? It's just stuck.
Lads, we're literally triggering people's bad memories. People are going to be contacting BetterHelp for therapy immediately. Keep going, actually. That'll be good for us. Talk. By the way, talk.
No, but
don't do what I did for a year. Don't talk to anybody. Talk.
He's a horse. He's a horse that's good for racing because he always has racing talking. Hopefully, he can retain a certain amount of his ability because he's getting older and he's going down in the ratings. Now, I know he won last time out, but we'll see what he has in store for us this season. And Willful as well was another one that had won 2 before, running poorly last time. But yeah, I think Alto Belly's the most interesting one in this race. But utmost respect for the 2 Henderson horses.
Okay, I think one of the 2 Henderson horses is going to win. I genuinely can't tell which one, Andy. There's a lot to like about Dodie the Great. I backed him the last day. Not a whole lot to like about that when he got wiped out at the start. But Nico did the right thing, and Nico's decided to stick with him. Bo Zenith came from a mile back to snatch what looked a highly unlikely place on his debut for the yard. And I know that there was a lot thought of him when he was with the Moore team. They're both very interesting. I just don't know which of the 2 to choose. And then Peter comes along with a very confident word about Alto Belly. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to throw another spanner in the works in another couple in a minute. But yeah, Bo Zenith, the second in that Cheltenham race, Reckless Eric, I think that runs on Friday at Windsor. Yeah. So we're worth keeping an eye on that. If that does well, then that's going to sort of advertise the Bo Zenith form. 13 of the last 15 have been 7 or younger. So that would be against, Doddy the Great, who is 9, I think, obviously Goshen and Stoner's Choice, and the others that are older. and then one at the sort of bottom, Move It Like Mini. But so that's a bit of a trend. And we know Henderson's got a fairly good record in this race, won 2 of the last 5. Bagaille, look, can see where you're coming from with that one, Peter. It's consistent, but it's just, I think it got the first time cheek pieces on here as well. It's just, I don't know, no winning 5. It just seems to sort of be thereabouts, but its win record for me would be the worry. Josh the Boss, that's that one, that beat Doyen Quest that we ramped on about, that one at Cheltenham at the back end of last year, ran poorly last time out, which they were claiming, I think after the race, it was to do with a soft ground, but it has won on soft. So I don't know if it was softer than it was advertised that day at Haydock, but that could easily bounce back for the Twist and Davies camp. But look, the 2 that I'm sort of coming down on, Georgie Girl, right? Look, Philip Hobbs and his old mate White are absolutely flying at the moment, right? They're 5 from 8, 63% strike rate. Anything they run this weekend, you should be looking out for. I mean, this horse was, I think it was 5th last time at Cheltenham, wasn't beaten that far. You watch that back, it travelled very, very well and just sort of fell in a bit of a hole last sort of half a furlong up the hill. Before that, it was a good winner. I think it was Ascot. So, I just think Hobbs has won this race. We've rocked the Casbah in the past, 2016. And 8-1 or whatever it was with Jeff there. I think that's a decent each way bet, I think, in this race with 3 places up for grabs. And then at a massive price, I mean, you talked about Henderson winning this race. What about his other one? Aston Martini.
Yeah.
Because that is 16-1. They're putting Freddie Gordon on claiming 3. And you can make excuses for its last 2, all right? I mean, it should have won a couple of runs ago at Bangor when it sort of jinked out that last hurdle. If we watch it back, and then Might Eye just sort of nabbed it on the line. But look, the form of there's some form that you can go back on. Right, the Jungle Jack running that race, it came 4th. That's come out and won since. Beat Auto Belly last time. The 5th, a horse called Hom Public, that's won since. Another horse that came. This is very similar to that Doyen Quest situation, right? It came, I think it was called Della Casalunga, came 6th. That's come out and won as well. And even the 8th, a horse called Gypcot, has come out and won. So yeah, there's loads of sort of decent form that you can cling to with Aston Martini. And I think it's interesting they're putting Freddie Gordon on as well. 16-1, worth a little dabble, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Georgie's Girl.
I would not be disagreeing with anybody about that horse. This race confuses me too much. Like, I genuinely like Bo Zenith. I genuinely like Dodie the Great, and then you two come along and make compelling cases for some of the others as well. I'm going to take the cowards approach. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch it on Sky Sports Racing, see who comes out on top, cheer on both of you boys, and then kick myself if one of the 2 Henderson horses goes, because I wouldn't be at all stunned if Aston Martini was the one to come flying out and go and win. And then you're really kicking yourself. So unless something in the next few days really piques my interest, then I'm gonna skip. 305 at Haydock. Just briefly, Andy, you and I will just talk about this race very, very quickly. I quite like Punta del.Est. Shaped really well after 7 months off, and he's come back in Carlisle in a race that really wasn't run to suit that day. Made a lot of smooth headway, had to be carried out wide. Then when he wanted to try and make a run late on, he was hemmed in. And last time out in a better race, he ran better than it looked. I think he was only beaten 6 lengths, but again, he shaped quite well and just looked to me like a horse who's been geared up for a pretty big tilt at a handicap, or at least a decent enough race. Step forward, 26 grand to the winner. Handicap hurdle, step up and trip should suit him. I know he's been beaten over this trip before, but he ran no sort of race that day whatsoever. He's won with the mud flying in the past, and he's a course winner too. So for the Skeltons, I'd side with Punta del.Est, although I would like that price to drift back out, please. He's gone into 4-1 now. That is not ideal. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, that Punta del.Est was definitely on the short list for me as well. I mean, his last few runs, it's sort of been shaping as if it would need a step up and trip. But as you say, it has run over 3 miles-ish before and been turned over, which is a slight worry. But on the evidence of its last runs, when it's been staying on, looked a bit outpaced at one point. So I think it's definitely worth another crack, especially on the heavy ground. Look, Hobson White, I've got another one in here. I've already mentioned they're in good form with what's it called, Tiny Tetley. Won all right at Taunton last time. It's only up £4 for that. I think they had a claim on last time. Pritchard Road claimed 7, but he's not on it now. So effectively, it's up £11, but still gets in here with 10-7 in a better race. And the only other one, Bushy Park, 11-year-old now, but look, absolutely loves Haydock. I think it's won about 3 times here. Was going all right last time. If you want to watch that race back, when it fell, probably about halfway into the race, and I think it probably would have been involved. So only because it's got such a good track record, again gets in with 10-6. So yeah, Bushy Park and probably Tiny Tetley against the Skelton one for the TriCast. Come on.
Hold on, Andy. I thought you were going to go for Lossiemouth. You confused me here after all that.
After your exclusive article, Charlie Deutsch booked to ride Lossiemouth.
No,
Are you not tipping him up?
No, I don't think. Well, look, it's not completely out of it, is it? On its form or whatever. I mean, it used to be with Tom Lacey, I think. It's now with Polly Gundry.
You've already got listeners going, wait, whoa, what? Tom Lacey? What are you talking about? What's going on? This horse has been with Willie Mullins for ages. The other Lossiemouth. And this man wrote an article, put up a picture of Charlie Deutsch in the Rich Richie Silks. Charlie Deutsch booked to ride Lossiemouth. Causes mayhem. Clicks galore to the website. Only for people to then realise, oh, he's talking about a handicap hurdle at Haydock and the wrong Lossiemouth.
Yeah, it's getting a bit of backlash now. People like, I think it was the picture of Deutsch in the Richie colours that
I think it's
got
genius.
Me over the line.
I say fair play to you.
It was
absolutely.
That's the kind of tactic the establishment media has been doing for years. Good luck to you, Andy. Yeah.
Exactly, but sure, he is riding Lossiemouth. So
I'm not lying.
It's a factual fact. Unlike them, you're not lying to people. You're telling the truth. He has been snapped up to ride Lossiemouth. Just not the Lossiemouth that everyone knows.
And he will be riding in the Richie colours on the day at Haydock as well with Royale Pagaille.
Another factual fact.
It's all there to be seen. Unfortunately, the lesser Lossiemouth has been gelded, I think. So Lossiemouth and Lossiemouth getting it on.
I guess that means the good news is if he wants to, he can probably identify as a female as well. So maybe that means he can substitute for her in the mares if he wants to. Is that where we're heading next? Horses deciding that they want to get in on this action too. Shall we just leave that? Shall we just leave that there, shall we? All right. One more race to talk about. I was saying with Mike Adamall on Sky Sports Racing the other day, we're going to be previewing on the Final Furlong podcast the Clarence House Chase. There's probably going to be just 4 runners. However, will we crack it? And here we go. There are 4 runners. Jeff Banks Bet goes 6-4 on about Jonbon, who was beaten in this race a year ago, but not at this track at Cheltenham. And he has been a little bit iffy in his prep runs before Cheltenham. And Aidan Coleman is adamant that Jonbon was not the same horse at the Cheltenham Festival for him as he has been at other tracks. Is history going to repeat? We'll find out. Energumene has been beaten twice in the 2 attempts in this race in an epic battle with Shishkin at this track a couple of years ago. One of the races of that particular season for sure. One of the best races we've seen for quite a while. And then he just made a howler at the last when he was probably beaten when the Gary Moore horse Editor de G ended up fighting out the finish with Edwardstone. Edwardstone is back too. He's 8-1 and Energumene 9-4 on his second start of the season. Edwardstone 8s, Boot Hill 14-1. 4 runners, 6-4 on about Nicky Henderson's horse, who was beaten in this race a year ago and has been iffy in his preps for Cheltenham in the past. Energumene beaten in this race twice, now 11 years of age. While the King George winner absolutely boosted the form from Cork, everything else in behind from the Hillyway Chase has been questionable to say the least. So what do you make of this race, Peter Michael?
Be a great race to watch. I don't think I'll be betting in it, to be honest. I mean, they're two superstars, really. I mean, Energumene has won over $1 million. What has he won? Yeah. Over £1 million in 16 runs, which is not easy in national hunt racing to do. Only ever lost 3 times, never out of the top 3. So, he's just a wonderful horse, wonderful servant, and we're lucky to be around to see a horse like that. But, I mean, this is a second run after a massive layoff, so I don't know. I couldn't, Then again, look, it's a two-runner race, really. So he's 9-4 in a two-runner race. It depends what way you want to look at it. I'm just going to sit out and watch it. But it is, I mean, the other two don't have a hope unless, accidents happen. So I think Jonbon will probably win it, but I wouldn't back him at 8-11. Energumene's probably the value at 9-4, given that I said it's a two-runner race. But I would be worried about him producing again after such a layoff. So I go for Jonbon, but I just watch it and see.
Andy.
Yeah, I mean, there's some ifs. I mean, will the ground be soft enough for Energumene? That's going to be one of the questions floating around. As Peter said as well, coming back, we won very well in the Hilly Way, but that was after a layoff. So is it going to, be as good second time round? Like you said, Emmet, as well, the form of that, you can take it two ways with Banbridge and was it Dino Blues was second or third or whatever that day, and that bombed out, didn't it, over Christmas. So, I don't know, 11-year-old as well. Not many 11-year-olds have won this in the past. So, yeah, I mean, like you say, it's only 2 defeats over fences like ever have been in this race. So, and then, you look at Jonbon, it's, as I've said many times, this horse, it's one of those ones where, you try and look at taking it on each time, but it just keeps sort of proving you wrong. Again, it's only lost a couple of times over fences, and in this race last year, it is a bit prone to the odd mistake, like you say, but look, it's never fallen. But, those little errors have cost it big time, especially in this race. And, it's just taking on the same old horses again, isn't it? I mean, I think it's 5-0 with Edwardstone in its head-to-head, if you like, 3-0 with Boot Hill. So those two, realistically, I mean, look, Boot Hill, the only thing you could say with that is it's unbeaten at Ascot, Boot Hill. So, and it did get quite close to it at Cheltenham in that Chaleur chase. So, Chaleur. So, I think there was a little moment where everyone was watching that and thought Jonbon's beaten here, and then he just sort of pulled out a bit more and whatever. But Ascot, it is 3 from 3 there, but a bit like Edwardstone, really. I mean, look, it's fallen 3 of its last 5. Edwardstone's fallen now 2 of its last 5 as well. So, will they all finish? I don't know. But the heart says Energumene, but realistically, the head has got to be Jonbon, and then it firms up a tad for the Champion Chase, which is is it around 2-1, 94 at the moment for that?
Jeff Banks is going 2-1, and I'd say this to you: if you fancy Jonbon this weekend, and if you think he's going to win, I'd take that 2-1 because it's going to. There will not be.
What do you think it'll end up being?
That. Well, he's going to be
6-4 even money.
It's probably going to be even money if he wins.
Mm.
What are you worried about? If he wins this race and he beats Energumene, who's the 5-1 third favourite, and the only horse you're concerned about is Gaelic Warrior. And are you really concerned about Gaelic Warrior? Are you really concerned about Gaelic Warrior? I don't know.
And if he does win it, he'll be looking to be the 8th horse to win the Clarence House, or, I know it's had different sort of guises over the years. It used to be called the Vic Chandler or whatever, but 7 horses have won this and then gone on to win the Champion Chase over the years. So it will be joining that gang.
Listen, I think if you fancy Jonbon for the Queen Mother Champion Chase, then you should be taking the Jeff Banks 2-1 now. But notice what I said. If you fancy Jonbon to win the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and if you fancy him to win this race, you should take the 2-1. I think Energumene will win. And I think he'll probably win both. He's unbeaten in 4 starts on good to soft ground. And Jonbon has been a bit iffy at this time of year in his Cheltenham preference. He was far from convincing in that novice chase under Aidan. Looked like he was going to be beaten in a match race. It was a big student race day crowd that day. They were booing Aidan when he came in and won because they'd all backed the whatever insane price the outsider was for the Skeltons that day. He just made hard work of that race. He made some horrendous errors. To his credit, he somehow managed to almost force a photo finish after doing 2 horrendous errors in this race when he was run at Cheltenham last year under James Bowen. I'd admire him for that. I'd admire what he's done this season. But 9-4 in what is essentially a coin flip with Energumene, I'll take the 9-4 about Energumene. Thanks very much. And if I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong. And if I'm right, then I'm taking Jeff Banks cash. Who is the best bets of the weekend? Peter Michael.
I'll go. The races we've gone through, there's nothing that I'm very confident about. So I'll look to something else I think should go close. In Cork tomorrow, the 250, Mighty Oaklad around 7-2, 4-1 should be thereabouts anyway, and you'd hope he could get the job done. So that would be the one I'd be going for. 250 Cork Friday, Mighty Oaklad in the beginner's chase.
Mighty Oaklad 250 at Cork on Friday. All right, best of luck with that, Peter. Andy, for you?
I've got to stick with Charlie Deutsch. Royale Pagaille done us a favour when it won the Betfair Chase. It's got to be the nap, I think. It's beloved Haydock. And, as we mentioned, the bigger prices, Georgie Girl and the Aston Martini in the 250 at Ascot, probably worth a little each way squeak. And then Hitman, which you like as well, Emmet, in the, 215, I think, at Ascot. That price is plummeting already on Hitman.
I am reluctant to make Hitman next best because it's Hitman and it's Paul Nicholls' stable form. And, I'm reluctant to do that. But the price is starting to collapse to a point that I'm becoming uncomfortable, but the 7-1 is fine. I'll go Punta del Este at Haydock in that 305 in that big handicap hurdle. I think the stamina trip's going to suit him, the ground's going to suit him, and hopefully he can go and win at a reasonable price. You can back all of our selections right now on the Jeff Banks website or the Jeff Banks app, available to download for free. You can watch all the races on Sky Sports Racing and Racing TV through the Jeff Banks app as well. Just use the promo code FFP500 and you're eligible for your 10% discount on any net losses after your first month of betting, up to £500. From Peter Michael, Andy Newton, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for watching this preview of Saturday's racing. Hopefully there's a good few winners in there. Hopefully there's lots of gravy to be made, and we'll talk about it on Monday's show with Adam Mills. Lots of specials being lined up as well. Thank you for the support. It's much appreciated. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so now. It's a massive help, as is the like button, with huge help for the algorithm. However the YouTube system works, I just know it's beneficial. So if you can do that for us, it's much appreciated. From Peter, Andy, and me, look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.